Welcome dear viewers to the video on standard dissolution conditions. So in this video we are going to see what are the standard dissolution conditions and when these conditions are applicable, why these conditions are applicable for IR formulations containing highly soluble drug substances, and what to do if we are not meeting or we are not matching to the standard dissolution conditions. These conditions are given by the regulatory agencies like US FDA, and also the same are being followed for the IR formulations containing highly soluble drug substances by the other regulatory authorities as well. What will happen if we don't use these conditions and the acceptance criteria? So let's start with the video. The formulations like IR formulations, immediate release formulations containing the drug substances which are highly soluble. These drug substances belong to BCS class 1 and 3. So if the IR formulation is there like tablet, capsule or granules or other formulation which is given by the oral route and which is required to be swallowed as a formulation as whole, tablet or capsule. So for those formulations this guideline is applicable. These standard dissolution conditions are not applicable for the sublingual type of tablets or buccal tablets or ODT formulations. As per the current understanding of the guidelines and as per the requirements, the standard dissolution conditions are required to be followed. Mainly the USP apparatus 1 basket and USP apparatus 2 paddle. These two apparatus are used for dissolution testing of immediate release formulations. So standard dissolution conditions are as given in the slide. USP apparatus 1 basket, RPM should be 100 RPM. Lower RPM can also be selected, but the standard RPM given in the guideline is 100 RPM. Media should be 0.1 normal SCL in the aqueous media. Volume requirement is 500 ml. Surfactant should not be used and it is not required as the guideline is for the formulations containing highly soluble drug substances. Temperature requirement for the dissolution bowl is 37 plus minus 0.5 degrees Celsius. So this is the standard dissolution condition. Media volume is 500 ml. If you want to increase the media volume, then justification is required. If you want to change the dissolution media apart from 0.1 normal SCL, then justification is required. Then standard dissolution condition for paddle apparatus. RPM is 50. Media is 0.1 normal SCL in the aqueous medium. Volume is 500 ml. Surfactant should not be used and not required to be used. Temperature is 37 degrees Celsius plus minus 0.5 degrees Celsius. Now this is the standard condition for USP1 and USP2 apparatus. If you are not getting adequate dissolution or complete dissolution with 50 RPM, you can increase the RPM to 60 RPM gradually from 60 to 75 also. But if the dissolution release is there or percent dissolved is above 80% in 30 minutes, then there is no need to increase the RPM. Also volume can also be increased. So whenever there are changes to the standard dissolution conditions, strong justification is required. Now you might be having a question that why 0.1 normal SCL media is used. So that media is used because if the formulation is IR formulation and if it contains the highly soluble drug substance, then the immediate release behavior of the formulation will lead to the release or dissolution of the API or release of the API in the stomach environment only. That's why 0.1 normal HCl is the best suitable media. So now we will see what are the changes can be done to the standard dissolution conditions. You can increase the RPM of paddle from 50 to 60 RPM if there is any coning issue or if there is any heap formation issue, or if the percent RSD of the dissolution release or percent dissolve is higher with 50 RPM. You can go to 60 RPM or you can go to 75 RPM. Then if these increase in the paddle speed is not working, then you can increase the media volume. But generally, if the API belong to the BCS class 1 or 3, then the increase in the media volume cannot be justified as the sink condition are meeting with the 500 ml of media. Now change to the media. So this is the third point. If you want to replace or if you don't want to use 0.1 normal HCl as a media and you want to go to other media or you want to select the other media, then the other media should be in the physiological pH range. That is, you can go to media of pH 4.5 acetate buffer or media of pH 6.8 phosphate buffer. The media whichever is selected apart from the 0.1 normal HCl should have the pH in the physiological pH range. Generally, the media change is very difficult to justify and it is not acceptable to the regulatory agencies. But if you show that 0.1 normal HCl is not suitable media, then you can go to other media. The example to the change in media reason may be degradation of the API in the 0.1 normal HCl. Then you can go to other media. This is just an example, but all the justifications should be given with the adequate supporting data, and without data only theoretical justifications will not be acceptable to the regulatory authorities. So justification for the change along with the supporting dissolution data is always required. Then data should be there with stability batches. Data should be there with the formulations with meaningful variation in the CMAs and CPPs. Now coming to the acceptance criteria. The acceptance criteria is fixed and it is Q 80% dissolved in 15 minutes or Q is equal to 80% dissolved in 30 minutes. So 80% release is must for the IR formulations containing highly soluble drug substances, and standard dissolution conditions are required to be followed. So if you consider 80% Q, so 85% will become the S1 stage criteria. The conditions are to be followed for the immediate release formulations containing highly soluble drug substances like the drug substances or APIs belonging to class 1 or 3 BCS classes. So this is regarding the standard dissolution condition and acceptance criteria for the formulations which are having the immediate release design and containing the highly soluble drug substances. Nowadays, regulatory agencies are asking for the justification if you are not following the standard dissolution conditions and the acceptance criteria. I hope you will learn from these standard dissolution conditions and you will also learn from the guidelines. So try to go in depth with the standard dissolution conditions and requirements from the regulatory guidelines, and if you have any comment or any suggestions, kindly write it to me. So thank you for watching the video. Please do like, share and subscribe to Pharma Learning in Depth channel. Thank you.